topic is the Municipal Harbor Plan. And we have friends from Harbor Towers to give us information from their point of view. From my point of view, I will try to be brief. I will be brief. I could say a lot about it. The process started 3 years ago. The BRA and BPDA says that they had 41 public meetings. What I attended, I would say 90% of them. What I never heard in any of the public meetings was the fundamental principle of law that applies to the Municipal Harbor Plan, which is the public trust doctrine. And I will promise not to put you to sleep. I'll make this very quick. The public trust doctrine goes back to Roman times. It still applies because the Supreme Judicial Court cited it in a case 10 years ago. And it says that the waterways, that is the tidal waters of the Commonwealth, are held by the legislature as trustees for the benefit of the public. The public, you and I, are the beneficiaries of the trust. Very simply, a trustee, as you know, must always act in the best interests of the beneficiary, not in the interests of the upland property owner. That is the fundamental law that applies. The so-called Chapter 91, which has been enacted by the legislature, was enacted to, and the Supreme Judicial Court has explained this, to operate their position as trustee. That is, they can't act on every proposal that is put forth. So Chapter 91 was enacted to guide how that should be done, and the regulations under Chapter 91, which are a thicket of difficulty to comprehend. Those are enacted also, but back at the bottom of it all is the best interests of the public, you and I. And I wrote a personal comment letter opposing the Municipal Harbor Plan as drafted by the Boston Development Authority because it did not, in my view, have the best interests of the public in mind. And I pointed out specific things. But I will now turn it over to our friends from Harbor Towers, Lee Kozol and others, to tell us about what they think about it from their point of view.
Good evening. Thank you, Victor. Thank you all for knowing. I want to make it clear at the outset that we are not here asking for a favor from NEWRA. We are here because of our firm conviction that the latest draft of the Municipal Harbor Plan that the BPDA has produced and they endorse is contrary to the public interest, and therefore contrary to the interests of the folks in the North End, and indeed the entire city and the Commonwealth. View is shared by the numerous letters of opposition that the BPDA has received from all parts of the Commonwealth, as well as from visitors from New York, Missouri, Colorado, Texas, Michigan, and Louisiana, who come to these parts and many generally travel from the airport and look across the harbor. The public interest to which I refer, which Victor has referred to, is basically, in its essence, to promote access to and enjoyment of the waterfront. And it's enshrined, as Victor noted, in Chapter 91, and the regulations that implement that were adopted in the 90s, which basically require that there be 50% open space in any development, and set forth that there be modest buildings rising gradually from the sea. we at Harbor Towers agree, we have from the outset, that the current garage is an eyesore. It is non-Chapter 91 compliant in that it covers the entire lot. It impedes access to and enjoyment of the waterfront, and it should be redeveloped. But it should be redeveloped in accordance with sound public policy principles, urban development principles that have been enshrined in Chapter 91 and the implementing regulations. And we understand that it's not going to be built as an act of charity, but all these factors have to be taken into account and reconciled. As Victor mentioned, this has been a very lengthy process at the BPDA, and this is actually the third iteration. The BPDA's proposal, a draft proposal, is the third iteration of a proposal for development of the garage site. The first two were presented by the owner of the site, the Chifaro Company, owner of International Place, and the major financial investor, the Prudential Insurance Company. On the first iteration, they proposed two buildings with 1,500,000 square feet of floor space, no open space. The proposal was characterized by then Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs Ian Bowles as being so far apart from public policy considerations that it was unfixable. That was it. And that doesn't even mention the fact that it encroached upon restricted FAA airspace. But that was the end of that. They came in with their next proposal, not much different, 1.3 million, still no open space, and still two buildings. And that also went nowhere after years of hearings in front of the BPDA. And now we get the BPDA proposal. The BPDA proposal is for, does not specify how many buildings. It specifies maximum height of 585 feet. The Chapter 91 guidelines are from 110 feet to 150 feet, rising up from the sea. A difference of 4 to 5 times. The BPDA proposal is for 70% lot coverage. Chapter 91 says 50%. That's a 40% increase. The BPDA proposal is for 900,000 square feet of space versus 370 in the waterways regulations. This all comes directly from the BPDA proposal. It's nothing that we figured out. They set forth in their proposal 2.5 times what the law suggests. 9,500,000 cubic feet versus 3.4 million in the waterways regulations, a difference of 2.8 times. No other municipal harbor plan in the entire Boston Harbor has deviations from these standards anywhere even close to these deviations. We asked the BRA, why? What is your rationale for having such height and density limitations? Show us the economic justification for this. Why is this? Why do you say that this is the minimum feasible? Our experts tell us that 725,000 feet would be very attractive to any developer. The aquariums experts tell them that 500,000 feet would be very attractive to any developer. Give us the rationale for these monstrous deviations from the statutory guidelines. No response. So, we have stated, no response. How do you expect us to agree to something that you haven't justified? So, we believe that there is no way that the BRA in its current iteration, PTA, in its current iteration, can justify what it is proposing. We think that it is just, as this gentleman said, we think it is just a bone to the developer, something to make the developer happy. If the developer overpaid for this property, it is not up to the citizens of the Commonwealth to make sure that the developer makes money in violation of the standards that have been developed over years from colonial times, as Victor mentioned. So that is basically our position, and it would be terrific for us if the powerful voice of NEWRA agreed and supported us. I am here, I want to say, as a spokesman, but as a member of a terrific team of analysts and advocates, and I'd like to introduce them. Here's the eminent legislator, John Rogers, who's been referred to before, who's our counsel. My good friend Rita Advani from Albert Towers One, our public relations guru, Tom Palmer, sitting over there, and there are several other folks here from Harvard Towers, Mary Holland, who has spoken before. Joanne Hayes Rance, is she left?
She stepped out for some.
President, she is here, president of the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park, and Suzanne LeBoy, a resident of Harvard Towers, but she's here in her official capacity as some big shot with the, what's your official title, Suzanne?
I'm the executive director of the other neighborhood association, the World District Council.
And she even has pictures. I would like to just close by saying that there are plenty of sites on the waterfront that are developable sites. And as this gentleman mentioned, if you allow one site to these deviations, there will be no rational basis upon which these other sites cannot do the same, and we'll end up with a wall of towers right along the harbor, and all our beautiful views of the harbor from inland, and of the Custom House Tower and the other great sites of Boston will be obliterated. So, if you would allow me, I'd like to ask if any of my other members want to add anything to what I've said.
I wouldn't follow that.
Jason said I shouldn't follow that.
No, John, I know you.
I've already retired. I've served with Jason, geez, for many years. One of the best legislative directors that the Massachusetts House has ever known. So I just want to thank Jason. I understand he's the new chairman of.
I don't know about after tonight.
You get extra pay for that? Yeah. So, thanks, thank you, Madam President, thank you, members. Thanks for coming out tonight and listening to us. I did also have the honor of serving with, for 17 years, one of the finest public servants I've ever met in my life. One of the finest people I've ever met in my life, and that's Mayor Marty Walsh. And I know that he's tuned into this. He's tuned in to what you say, what you think, and cares deeply. So I think he hears and he cares. And the first time I spoke with Marty about this was right in this neighborhood, down over in Hanover. And he encouraged everyone to speak up and to weigh in. 50% lot coverage is something that's achievable. And the defense of the BRA, the PDA, at the time they recommended 70% lot coverage. There was no concrete evidence before the city at that time that says that was even economically viable. Thanks to the work of Suzanne and the executive director of the Wharf District Council, the council commission Havison design that establishes, but with clear and convincing evidence, that 50% lot coverage is achievable. And so I think that's very, very exciting. It's a very exciting catalyst. And I would urge you to weigh in on that and to join the trustees on 50% lot coverage, because the developer, to their credit, last month came out and admitted that 50% lot coverage is achievable at the garage site. So right now you have 100% lot coverage with no green space, no view corridors to and from the waterfront. And this neighborhood, the waterfront neighborhood, has something that's tenable for the first time in the better half of a century, and that is to create open space. The developer has said that nothing, he could do it at 50% lot coverage, but nothing exciting occurs at the base. It would just be an entrance and a garage entrance and a lobby. And I think what the most truly exciting public amenity that could occur there is what's beyond those walls, open space. Something that I know that this neighborhood cares deeply about, and view corridors to the waterfront and back. So I think the developer would like to put a fine restaurant there. I think that's what he's talking about, but this is the North End. The finest restaurants are already in this neighborhood in the entire city. So I know that Mayor Walsh is looking at this. I know that he's listening. So I urge you to speak up, because this is really the chance of a lifetime. So this happens once every generation, couple of generations or so, and your voice is deeply appreciated and deeply valued. I know not only by the trustees, but by Mayor Walsh. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of our members have questions of this?
Could I just add something?
Good.
What you said?
Oh, sure,
That's
yeah.
okay.
It's after you.
My name's Suzanne Boy. I'm the executive director of the Worcester Council. And like John has said and Lee, the council put together a study showing the viability of what the recommendations were of the municipal harbor plan. I only printed up 3 of these, but it shows 50% lot coverage as opposed to the 70% that they're recommending. I can pass these around if you want or not.
Yes.
If you have an electronic version, we can put it on our.
We do. Actually, there is an electronic version of the entire presentation on our website, which is wharfdistrictcouncil.org. So you can see the whole thing. But
Okay,
this,
so we could link to that, or, but why don't you pass that around at least now
the
so
same,
people can take a
53
look?
of the same. But the municipal harbor plan is a very complicated process, and I know Bob is in the back of the room. He's the North End representative on the Municipal Harbor Plan Advisory Committee with a number of us in the room. And we are concerned as council members and also as a neighborhood that what the Municipal Harbor Plan is recommending is too big and will change the character of our neighborhood, and certainly it's going to affect your neighborhood. And once they allow the ability to put in these large buildings, it's just a matter of time, like dominoes, before they will move. So the Wharf District Council unanimously supports to maintain the Chapter 91 guidelines, which is 50% lot coverage, and there are other additional metrics that you can read about. But I guess I just am here with my colleagues from Harbor Towers, hoping that you will support our efforts to maintain the recommendations of Chapter 91, 50% lot coverage, and write a letter of support for our community.
So if I could speak for just a moment. My name is Rita from Harbor Towers as well. I've owned it here. I've lived for the last 3 years in Harbor Towers. And one of the things that, the town that I came from, Norfolk, Massachusetts, I lived there for 30 years, it was really all about the neighborhood. And like you, and I was listening into the discussion that you have been following all of this going on in your newspaper here over the years. And it's really around issues of traffic and density. And this is sort of one of Boston's jewels, and we have all this density of people coming in here. What we need are more people coming in, but not all this traffic and such huge big buildings that are going to block the view of, say, the Custom Tower from the water, or from, you know, the iconic view of Boston is all of this. So just like you're concerned about your neighborhood, we're concerned about our neighborhood and about issues of traffic. And every time that we've raised issues of traffic, they say, well, that's not really part of the NHP process. But density definitely is. And so they don't want to sort of, you know, provide us with what seems to be rational accommodations to the points of view of residents. So what we're urging you to do is to think like us and to think of us as residents in your neighborhood and think about the impact that it's going to have down on you. And we're most concerned about public access. Because public, you know, if they construct atriums in buildings and call those public access, they really are not. I mean, I can't see us walking into atriums of building and saying, well, I'm just going to sit here and read a book or something like that. People don't do that. They're looking for places where they don't have to pay money to be able to enjoy the beautiful gifts that we have here, right here in the city.
Thank you. Would anybody like to ask any questions of this group who's here with us tonight? Any questions from the members? Any members have? Oh,
I
yes.
mean, you talked about supporting this, but and you're saying writing letters. What, can you give us some direction? Who are we writing to? What, I mean, is there a process that's going on right now that has a deadline and they need to hear from us? It's not clear to me.
Sure. Letters should be written to Rich McGinnis or Chris Bush, USCH, at the BPDA. And of course, if you want to add the mayor, that's fine. The mayor is.
Okay, so, and you have a website where you have some of the information that we can access that you've just gone.
Lee, we can send over that contact information
Okay,
and
that
those
would be
exact
helpful.
names and titles.
And there are
We're
also
happy-
some
happy to
letters,
do
some
that.
ideas of letters.
Send it
David
back.
has something.
The BRA, and I refuse to call them the
Yeah.
BPDA, the BRA's public comment period on this plan
Yes.
is over. It would be good to send letters to the mayor. It's always good at any time to send letters to the mayor. There will be, if the BRA decides to go forward with this plan, they have to go through its state environmental review. The Secretary of Environmental Affairs has to approve this plan, and that will be the time when this organization and all of you can have a say that might actually be heard, unlike the city process.
Lee, I talked to Chris Bush today. Even though officially the comment period is over, they have continued to push this approval from month to month to month, just pushed it from January to February. And Chris Bush said they are accepting letters. They will accept letters that anyone sends in now and count them and read them.
You'll send Victor a contact.
Yes.
The draft MEP was supposed to go before the Board of Directors tonight, this afternoon. So the next time, as Tom alluded to, would be February 9th. So there is time to write letters both to Chris Bush and Rich McGinnis and Mayor Walsh and, let's say, Brian Golden, the director, as well. And I neglected to say that your state representative, my House colleague, Aaron Michaelwitz, has sent a letter to Chris Bush, to Rich McGinnis, requesting that the MHP be revised from 70% lot coverage to 50% lot coverage. So that is a public record. Your state representative did send into the BRA last month.
But it's letters from residents that count for a lot. And I think it's a number of letters that are coming in that will make a difference as well.
But I understood that on the agenda tonight, there was a question of whether the group, NEWRA as a group, would write a letter. And of course, individual letters are also, as Rita said.
Okay, so there is still time for us, you're saying that with the, even though the comment period is over, there is still time to send a letter to the, and we would be sending this to the VRA.
Yes.
And again, I understand they say they've changed their names. When they change, I'll call them a changed name, but we'll address it to what they call themselves.
Does anybody know when the board meeting is in February?
The ninth.
February 9th.
When's our meeting?
So,
The 9th.
Oh, yeah.
The 9th as well?
Oh, hold on.
so you mean our next meeting?
Yeah.
It's the ninth.
Well, no, but I think the question is, can we vote on authorizing Victor Bronya as the chair of our ZLC committee to put together a comment letter on behalf of NEWRA that incorporates the concerns that were raised here tonight in terms of the changes in the guidelines? Would that be?
I wrote a personal comment letter on December 2nd within the first deadline.
And
Maybe I
that's-
can just call it back.
No,
Yeah, make it look different.
Make it look different, okay.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah,
he said
yeah.
he's,
some of it, yeah.
he's,
The work has been.
As long as I'm speaking, I can't restrain myself. Can I point out something that I pointed out in my letter? How did this happen? How can it happen that PRA could do this? They've used the wrong standard. I point out that the reason they give is to promote higher density development and a variety of building heights within the downtown Waterfront Municipal Harbor Plan area. The maximum height allowed on this site is 585 feet
okay.
to promote higher density.
All right, Victor, can we, because we still have one more
Okay.
presentation that's important. Can we, are people comfortable doing a show of hands as to authorize the executive committee in conjunction with the head of our ZLC to send a letter on behalf of NEWRA? Can we have a show of hands as to who would be in favor of that? Okay, it looks like everybody pretty much is in favor. We will do that. Thank you very much.